After the Show podcast.
One of the greatest things you can teach a child is how to apologize. And I don't just mean what words to say, but having the self-awareness and the guts to apologize when you need to. And I say this because I feel like we were lucky, Murphy, that our girls, they apologize for things when I don't even expect it. It's nice, but it happened last night. I don't know if you noticed this. We were watching Monday Night Football and eating salad. And Taylor comes,
just another Monday night at our house.
Taylor comes in. She had been working at the doggy daycare, and sometimes she's disheveled when she's home from that.
Yeah.
If they put her in romper room, it's all the romper room is what it sounds like. All the most active dogs, and she only gets a 15-minute break. She's constantly managing dogs and all the things that they can do. And she was just having one of those days. I could just tell something was wrong. I didn't know if it was because Phoebe wasn't coming over. Phoebe said she was going to come over last night and then canceled her plans. And sometimes when Taylor's looking forward to seeing Phoebe or vice versa, when they change plans, they get a little huffy about it, So I are you okay? Yes. Yes. And then she made her salad and she made some food and she came and sat down with us and we're watching the game and I'm like, look, there's Taylor Swift. I'm like, look.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah.
Guess what game we were watching?
Yeah, anyway.
Any game involving the Chiefs.
Well, Monday Night Football. But
I'm
that's
joking.
the one. But so the night goes on. You take out the trash. I take a shower. I did not dig in. I didn't do the thing. I mean, she's a young adult. I don't do the thing. Tell me what's wrong. I asked what was wrong, and she chose not to tell me anything. So fine, onward. And I don't know if you know this because I think it was when you were taking the trash out. She had taken a shower. I had taken a shower. I was getting ready for bed, and she came into the room, and I could just tell that she was about to come to me and apologize for the way she had behaved an hour before because she had softened. You know what I mean? The facial features had softened, and she was more like herself. And she literally said, "Hey, Mom, I'm sorry for being grumpy." And I just was like, "Oh, it's okay." And we hugged each other. And we didn't talk about it, but it's just like, that is a beautiful thing because I don't know that I did that. I don't recall ever doing that to my parents when I was acting huffy.
Yeah.
I don't remember having the guts and the maturity to then later go, I'm sorry I acted that way. I just would try. Now, I was aware of it when I had acted that way, but I would just try to laugh it off or joke about something and just change the narrative.
Yeah, I understand. They learned it from me.
Apologize.
They learned it where?
Yeah,
From both of us.
They did.
Our household. We do
Actually,
apologize.
They modeled
when.
it. Yeah, Jodi and I apologize to each other. But yeah, I think that's. I think that it's
beautiful.
Good that she did come and apologize to me the same thing after I, finished taking the trash out.
Good.
But I think anybody, when you're feeling grumpy, it's human nature. Sometimes you're going to bark when you really don't intend to,
Of course.
And so if you're kind of through that and you get you're centered again, then you go back and apologize.
It's just they both do it, literally. And with Taylor, I don't expect it, but I almost could because anytime she is ever sort of grumpy with me and she knows she's safe enough to do that, I'm her mother, unconditional, and she knows that. She could almost treat me any way. And I would just I would love her anyway, love her through it. But she almost always comes back and says something about the way she spoke to me or just her behavior in general. I just think it's really, really beautiful. I don't remember, I guess it wasn't modeled as much around me. I just don't remember ever being that way until we got married and were.
Oh, really?
I don't remember being
I
apologetic.
didn't learn to apologize till I was an adult.
Yeah, Sam.
Just real apology, not just, I'm sorry.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is.
It takes guts.
It takes guts. It affects your pride, a lot of things like that. And me, I was too whatever I was. Even early in marriage, I was immature, I guess, enough not to apologize a lot.
Sure.
And
well, if you never taught it, it's hard to.
I don't remember apologies around the house when I was growing up. I hope my
Right.
mom isn't listening to this one. What are you talking about?
I'm sorry, Sammy.
How about that for you?
The other beautiful thing about it is for her it was important because she can put it behind her. She's not carrying it
Yeah.
around that she treated me away.
That's the thing. For me, when I finally did start apologizing, it just feels good. That, like, okay,
It clears the
I
air.
did the right thing. Now we can move on.
And it's good for the relationship. Whoever you were apologizing to, it's good for the relationship.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah.
It takes guts to be that humble, I suppose.
I hadn't really thought about it this way because everybody's upbringing is different, but I was brought up in a household that apologized.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's why my brother and sister and I don't have any drama or anything like that. Because if you don't apologize, then
You're
you have an
holding it.
unresolved situation. And that unresolved situation exists, for
It
both
lives.
people. Right, exactly. And so it impacts a relationship, especially when the apology is actually merited,
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, if you don't communicate at all, that leaves the other person to make up their mind and create, their own
Correct.
thought about what, the other person's thinking. That's where people get in any relationship, whether it's a romantic, a friendship, or whatever, where people get locked down is if you don't talk things out. And I know it's,
There's an assumption.
yeah, and when Jodi and I were first together, she used to be a little frustrated that I would, talk things out. But I mean, to me, it's like, I am who you see. It's in the open. I don't really care if somebody doesn't want to. Well, so let me rephrase that.
That is who you were.
I do care and will give the space when somebody can't talk at that moment, but we're going to talk about it at some point if you value the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't, then it will be a wall. So here's the example that I think of, and I know this is probably a horrible example. Dogs.
It's okay. I like horrible
Right.
examples.
So dogs. Dogs cannot resolve their differences. If something happens in the pack order or two dogs get into a fight with each other,
Yes.
there literally is no resolution. It's either a bad resolution
Yeah, they
for
fight
one or
again.
the two dogs, right? They have to be separated permanently. It's never fixed. It can't be, so
Because they can't apologize.
Right, correct. Well, and so as humans, the good news is we're wired, and it's once one dog sees the other as a threat, they're always a threat.
Yeah.
And our human interaction is a lot more
Yeah.
advanced, thank God, than that.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't resolve a conflict, the conflict is going to
Fester.
have a background fester and threat, right?
Honestly, because
And
I
so-
thought, going back to Taylor, I thought she was upset about Phoebe, or she was aggravated that we were watching football, and I didn't know. My assumption would be, isn't that funny? The human condition is you go inward. What did I do?
Yeah.
I'm like, what did I do? What But anyway, she came to me an hour later, and it was just beautiful. And she's teaching me things. It's like to watch your child do that when she didn't have to. It was already forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
I would not have been thinking about it this morning.
Yeah.
But the fact that she did that, it's beautiful for our relationship. And it opened her up. In other words, she was able to go to bed happier because she said that to me. And then that's when she told us that fun story that she had yesterday at work. I hope she doesn't mind me telling. She said, I got the weirdest tip yesterday at work. And I said,
And it wasn't advice; it was a cash tip.
yeah, I'm like, you get tips at the doggy daycare? She says, not normally. She said,
Not from the dogs.
She said, my manager walked in and said, Taylor, do you have a dark blue Nissan? And she goes, yes. And the manager handed her $20. And she goes, what is this for? The owner of one of the dogs who had picked up the dog was leaving. And this is a dog that Taylor had cared for all day,
Oh.
peed on her car. And the owner was so upset about it, gave the money to her for a car wash.
Wow.
Isn't that beautiful?
And she said she wouldn't have known if
Yeah.
by the
Like,
time
you
she
wouldn't
was
known
ready
that.
to leave, it would have been gone.
So that's
Yeah,
a
that's
beautiful
sweet.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so she was able to sort of end her day by telling us a ha-ha story
So
about that.
This is why it really doesn't surprise me that she is going to be good in the career that she's interested in, which is psychology and counseling and helping others. And through the study of that, she understood something that she was having a rough day herself, and it wasn't anybody else's fault around her. And she also didn't want to affect anybody else with really what was something that she owned.
Yeah.
And that's something that's taken me a long time to learn, because ironically, I grew up in a household with apologies, but I grew up in a household where if something was going on, it got dumped in the room to everybody. And so that does not create a good. It doesn't create a good environment. You know what I mean? You've got
it's hard to be around.
Your business is your business, and you don't have to affect those around you with it. But it's difficult when it's people that you're close to and you're comfortable around. It's easy for it to slip out.
It's easy to sort of dump your emotions there.
Yeah.
And
So she's a great young adult, and I think she's going to have a great career in that because she's really able to kind of step outside of herself and look at herself, which is going to be a great benefit in how she helps other people do the same thing.
There's another component here talking about, you and I apologizing to each other in our marriage for things, little things, big things, whatever. They've seen and modeled that. I see them as sisters apologize to each other.
Yeah.
It's rough sometimes when they spar with each other. It's rough, but then they always do apologize, and I love that. And it wasn't all the time, but I can recall when we would have trouble just as a family, or I would do something that I wasn't the most proud of as a mother, I would apologize to them. And it's almost counterintuitive to do that because, like, you're the person, you're the mother, you're the lead, But I can recall apologizing to them about, I'm sorry that I raised my voice, or I'm sorry we were late, or
Did you
well,
find
that's not
that
really me, but-
harder to apologize to the kids than to an adult?
No.
Oh.
No, I find it harder to apologize to an adult.
I don't find it hard to apologize to either.
I know.
But
I know.
but yeah, the thing about apologizing to children is you have to be focused on what you're actually apologizing for.
You have to be specific.
You're not apologizing for being a parent. You're not apologizing for the direction that you gave. You're not apologizing for rules. You're not watering yourself down. You're apologizing for the kind of thing that you wouldn't want them to do also.
Yes.
And because that's what you're modeling. And I've only had to have a handful of those conversations over time, and I think they were handled the right way.
Right. So we got some distance from the situation. It's like, hey, I'm sorry, it was handled this way.
Right.
However, this is still true. That's still true.
Correct.
So, Murphy, when you apologize, it's not like, hey, look, I'm sorry your mom did this.
Oh, you know about that one, huh, Sam?
Yeah. And, we were talking about who's, a lot of apologies between both of us. Have you been keeping track of those, Jodi?
Absolutely not.
Curious
Absolutely
who had
not.
more?
Missed any part of the show? Get it all on the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi podcast.